I didn't know you could measure a relationship in screenshots until the month my life started arriving as exhibits. It wasn't a dramatic month, which is part of the problem. It was March, which in our city is just a puddle that never dries. I was working from home in a chair that has made chiropractors rich. Owen was commuting to a lab where all the machines are named after Greek letters, and every morning our neighbor's dog would choose to bark at the exact moment the coffee maker made its final, bravest gurgle. Ordinary. That's the word I keep coming back to when I try to explain how fast ordinary can tilt. It tilted on a Tuesday when my phone showed me a notification I didn't recognize. You've left Noah's iPad behind. It was under the kind of bubble you get when Apple thinks it knows your family better than you do. I don't know a Noah. I know one Nora and one Nova, a restaurant, not a person, but no Noah, and certainly no iPad of his that I would be in charge of. I did what you do. Swiped it away like it was a gnat. When it came back an hour later, my brain did a small, anxious handstand. It came with a map this time, a tiny glowing dot near a school I'd never been to. I clicked into the labyrinth of settings and saw, nested where you would never think to look, that I had been added to a family sharing group called The Nest. There were 4 members. Me, someone named Noah, someone named Maya, and Mom. The organizer was a Gmail I didn't recognize, but my stomach did. Maya is Owen's sister. I stared at the screen until the time became an accusation. I didn't join any family, certainly not one where my role was girl who takes responsibility for Noah's iPad. I screenshotted and texted Owen, "Did your sister add me to a family plan that is not a plan? Who is Noah?" Owen called immediately with conference call voice, the one where he's apologizing before he knows what for. That has to be a mistake. Noah is Maya's baby. Why would she add you to anything? Also, I didn't know babies had iPads. They don't, I said. Their mothers have iPads with ambitions. He said he'd call her. I picture their childhood dynamic. Maya declaring that a dining chair was a pirate ship. Owen reading the manual to see if chairs could be pirates, and wished him luck. While he was doing that, my phone buzzed again. Not a notification, but a message from Maya. "Can we chat later?" Quick thing. I stared at the words and tried to decode whether quick thing meant haircut recommendation or fire drill. With Maya, it could be either, and sometimes both. When Owen called back, he sounded like he'd just negotiated a hostage release. She says she added you by accident when she was setting up family sharing on her phone because the baby keeps watching the Bluey Pirate episode on repeat and she wanted to pause it from the kitchen. She said she didn't realize it would ping you. She's taking you off now. Okay, I said, and meant the part of okay that is trying to be a grown-up. Do I say anything to her? Probably not, he said. But she wants to talk anyway. She said it's not about that. It was about that a little. We FaceTimed after dinner, sitting on our couch that we got from a guy named Jeff on Facebook Marketplace, and that still smells like a Jeff sometimes. Maya appeared in the frame, looking like a person who could assemble a stroller on a cliff during a thunderstorm. "Hi, lovely," she said, and then, without the warm-up people usually allow, "Can you send me Owen's location history for last Friday night? I think I left a set of keys in his car, and I'm trying to backtrack. He swears he didn't take my keys, but he also swore he didn't eat my leftover pad thai in 2012, so there's sentences that are actually puzzles." I heard the pieces clink into place as she spoke. "You want his location history?" I said, "Careful the way you are with glass." "Just the general streets," she said quickly. "I'm not trying to be invasive. I'm trying not to wake the baby by tearing apart the mudroom. My tile key finder is dead. Remember when products just lived or died without emailing you about it?" Owen leaned in, so his face was half of my frame. "Maya, I can tell you where I was," he said. "I went to the lab supply store, then to Dan's to help him carry a couch up 4 floors because he thinks elevators are for cowards. Then I came home, and we watched the awful documentary about birds doing war." "You mean owls being petty?" Maya said. "Fine. That tracks. I just whatever. I'm tired." The screen moved like she'd set the phone down to adjust a baby-shaped weight. Then, like she couldn't help herself, she added, "Did you know there's services now where they'll send you a report? Like you can literally order a PDF of the streets a person went to? You can't use it in court, probably, but you can use it in your brain." "We're not doing that," Owen said, with the confidence of a man who has never watched his girlfriend's heart turn into a filing cabinet. We are going to find your keys by walking the hallway like detectives. She rolled her eyes, softer than usual. Relax, I'm not. I am venting. It's March. There is mold on my soul. We said goodnight. I asked Owen if he wanted tea. He said yes, like tea was an apology. We watched an episode of a show where people renovate houses they can't afford and decide at the end that they love their ugly house anyway. It was the most married I have ever felt without paperwork. I didn't think about the family sharing again until Saturday, when the "you left Noah's iPad" alert happened while I was at a bakery buying a cake for Owen's birthday that I had cleverly labeled as a brown bread. Our bakery writes anything you ask on frosting. It's an open mic for sugar. The map showed a glowing dot near my apartment with the caption, "Left behind at home." The phrase made me smile and then not smile. Why would an iPad alert me at my home if I was no longer in a family with an iPad? I checked the settings. The nest was gone, replaced by my own little circle, me, and the device named Lena's phone, and a memory of how not to be suspicious. I put the cake in a white box like a secret and carried it home. Owen's birthday dinner was my kind of party. 3 people, 2 of whom live here, and 1 neighbor who came because she smelled cake through the hallway. Miss Dottie is 80 and describes herself as interested in everyone's business, which is just accurate. She brought a jar of homemade pickles and a story about the time she saw Aretha Franklin at a gas station in 1979 and decided the entire American mythos was real. We ate, we sang badly, we cut the cake, and we were happy in the exact way I wish happiness would learn to be. Just there, not trying to be proof. At 9:14 p.m., Miss Dottie went to the bathroom and came back with the expression of a person who has found a ship in a bottle. "Honey," she said to me, quietly but in the way that means the opposite, "your phone has been talking to someone named Mara again." "My phone," I said, then realized I had left it on the edge of the sink when I went to light the stupid sparkler candle that came free with the cake and will now live under our couch until 2030. Miss Dottie does not snoop. She observes. The screen had lit up with a preview of a DM, and Miss Dottie, bless her archivist heart, read the notification and then scurried back as if she had stolen a rhubarb pie. "I didn't open it," she said, "but it said, 'Are you still around City Kitchen? I could pop out back.'" I laugh because there are times when the best defense against dread is to treat it like a sitcom. "Mara is a contractor who thinks Owen is a lost luggage department," I said and explained. Miss Dottie pursed her lips like someone appreciating a painting they don't like. "Well," she said, "tell Mara that when you're in love you don't pop out back for anyone but a cat." I did not respond to Mara, who I had decided was a concept, not a person. I took a picture of Owen pretending to be 12 with his frosting mustache. The dog barked at the exact moment the coffee machine, washed but still opinionated, made one last watery cough. Ordinary, ordinary, ordinary. The next morning the universe delivered a more formal letter. We woke to an email sent to both Owen and me from Claire, Loyalty Ledger, with the subject closed, ticket number 29877. The body was efficient. "We've closed your test and processed a refund as requested. For records, please find attached. Deliverable 1, outreach text. Deliverable 2, receipt bar. Deliverable 3, summary." It was addressed to Owen's sister at the top, then somehow to us. I do not know how. I do not admire it. We clicked the attachments. Outreach text was a script, the lost jacket opener, 3 variants, the winky face. Receipt bar was a photo that tried very hard to look like a real receipt. 2 margaritas, a tip that did not understand math, a timestamp that understood military time too well. Summary was the part that made my mouth go hot the way a shame does when it borrowed your shoes. It said, "Target engaged, flirtatious tone, invited after hours meeting out back. We rate risk as elevated." It was attached to an invoice with a line item for receipt polish. $25. Owen read them the way you read terms and conditions when you realize they might end your life. He looked at me like I was the only oxygen in the room. "I didn't," he said. "You know I didn't. You already know." "I know," I said, and felt the relief of hearing my mouth agree with my heart. "I know. I also know we need to plug the holes. We did boring hero work. We changed every setting they let you change, then found settings that had been hiding under floorboards and changed those too. We turned off show preview on everything. We unlinked the forwarding catch-all that had been sending me anything addressed to Lelna or Elena because sometimes your typos cooperate with your enemies. We emailed Claire with the kind of tone you use when you're trying to be generous, but your generosity is standing on tiptoe. She wrote back immediately, apologetic, granular, a little tired. We've removed your details. We flagged the contractor. I am sorry. We are reviewing internal policy around polish. We made pancakes because I needed the kitchen to smell like a decision I had made. Owen squeezed oranges with more intensity than citrus requires. We ate on the floor. We put the paper plates in the recycling like a symbolic divorce from this day. Then we got dressed because we had a thing we could not miss, which was a family brunch for Owen's mother's birthday at a restaurant that serves something called Sun Eggs, which is eggs with an opinion. Family brunch is a ritual that works best if everyone agrees to use the same map. There is the compliment circuit. You look well. No, you do. The baby has legs. The shop talk loop. Your lab. My school. The price of cinnamon. The nostalgia roundabout. Remember when Dad tried to deep fry a turkey and we learned about insurance. I was ready to drive these roads and get home. But Maya had brought a different map. She hugged me, which I accepted and meant. She hugged Owen, which I liked watching because siblings who actually hug make the world less ridiculous. Then she said, "Can we do 2 minutes after we eat?" in a tone that means the minutes will ask for more minutes. We did the Sun Eggs. We did the compliment circuit. We were about to enter nostalgia when Owen's mother pulled out her birthday gift from us, a massage, which is a card that says, "We owe you one kindness you will schedule and then reschedule." She was smiling the way mothers smile when they remember the person in front of them used to be so small, and then Maya cleared her throat and set down her glass of water and said, "I need to say something mostly to me, but also to you." She looked at me and then at Owen. "I did a thing because I was trying not to feel a feeling," she said. And then the thing made a bigger feeling happen. I don't trust this world not to lie to my sister or to me, so I outsourced the lie. And then it lied to me. "I am sorry." She put 2 fingers to her forehead like she was pinning her own bangs with apology. "I know you didn't flirt. I know you didn't go out back. I know the receipt is fake because the bartender from City Kitchen is married to my friend's cousin, and she told me if Owen had come in, he would have had to listen to her rant about the price of limes, and I would have heard about it." She swallowed. I called the place and told them to take my name off the customer list permanently. There was a small silence, like the restaurant had paused to let a commercial for honesty play. Owen's mother nodded once, approvingly, like she had just watched a toddler pick up a grape and not choke. I said thank you because that is what you say when someone gives you back the morning. Owen said, very Owen, "Okay, now we get cake." If life were fair to narrative arcs, that would be the end. It wasn't because the internet is a tide, and the tide doesn't run on your schedule. 2 nights later, at 1:06 a.m., when the part of my brain that loves me was trying to knit itself back together, my phone buzzed with an email from an address whose subject line was the email address itself. Receipts for Justice at. There were attachments. There was no message. I averaged 3 decisions in 3 seconds. I did not wake Owen. I did not open the files. I forwarded the email to Claire with this came to me. "Do with it what you will," and I turned my phone face down and put it under my pillow like a medieval charm against wolves. In the morning, there was a response from Claire. "Thank you. This came to a few targets last month after we shut down 2 contractors. We are pursuing legal. I know that doesn't help your sleep. We're trying to be the reason someone else sleeps. We made a rule. We wrote on the whiteboard that usually holds grocery lists and thought experiments. It said, in Owen's neat lab handwriting, no uninvited evidence. Below it, in my chaotic kindergarten scrawl, if you need proof, ask for witness. We hung the board near the door where we hang our keys, because I like rules to be next to exit strategies. There were other little turns that month. The grocery stores started printing the wrong names on receipts, and we laughed like witches because sometimes life writes its own parody. A friend sent a link to a loyalty test expose video with the caption Wild, and I told her I was taking a break from Wild. Owen's lab got a new machine named Sigma that malfunctioned in a way that made the coffee machine look responsible. We kept going because that is what you do when the plot refuses to stay quiet. You become louder about your mundanity. The biggest, strangest thing did not come from the test, the fake receipts, or the family plan. It came from a postcard in the actual mail, the kind of mail with a stamp and an accident in the ink. It was from Claire. It said in a hand so earnest I could hear the pen squeak, "We closed the site." We told the truth. I took a different job that involves hiring people who know what the word verify means. Thank you for being the reason something ended. I put the card on the refrigerator with a magnet shaped like a tomato and said a small prayer to whatever patron saint looks after people who are trying to do a job while also being good. When I tell this as a story now, people always want to know if I forgave Maya. I did in the slow way. Forgiveness, it turns out, is not a switch. It's a season. It comes around again, and you remember to water it. She came over on a Sunday with bagels and said she was sorry without turning it into a performance piece. She held the baby up like an offering and said, "Meet my better apology." We babysat one night and watched Bluey on the pirate ship episode, and I texted her a photo of Owen, the alleged flirt, making a treasure map out of construction paper with a concentration usually reserved for assembling microscopes. I keep a little archive in my head of that month. Not the fake receipt or the subject lines that try to be a verdict. The other things. Owen's mother opening her card and seeing the word massage and laughing like she had just remembered her back. Miss Dottie telling me she would testify on our behalf in any court real or imagined. The cake that said brown bread in curly yellow letters, so cheery it could have led a parade. A text from my own sister, who lives 3 time zones away and misses everything and knows how it feels to miss everything, that just said, "I am a witness. I saw you buy oat milk today," which made no sense and all the sense. One night when the city was finally less puddle and more possibility, we took a walk without our phones. It was not an act of philosophy. Our phones were both charging, and we had run out of batteries for our headlamps of modernity. We went outside anyway. We walked to the park. Nobody yelled at us. A kid taught his younger sibling to scale a rock with the solemn authority of a mountain guide. We sat on a bench and talked about buying an ugly house and loving it anyway. Owen looked at me with the face he wears when he's trying to draft a plan he doesn't want to ruin by saying it out loud too early. I said, yes, because sometimes the truest trust falls are preemptive. He didn't propose with a scavenger hunt. No teas, no ishibiches, no senis. He asked me with the same voice he uses when he asks if I want tea, because that's the voice I want to listen to forever. We told Maya, and she cried in the grateful way rather than the guilty way. She sent me a screen recording of her deleting the last of the test emails from her archive and then filmed herself emptying the trash like a ritual. Owen's mother called and promised to get a dress that did not hurt but did make a statement. Miss Dottie slid a note under our door that said, "My dear witnesses, remember that ordinary is loud enough if you listen. P.S. I make a fine pound cake." A few weeks later, we were in a courthouse with terrible fluorescent lights and pretty good benches. We took a number like we were applying for a mortgage on our own happiness. We signed things. A person we had never met in a suit said, "Do," and we both said, "We do," and the sound of our two voices at the same time made me understand why choirs exist. We ate lunch on the steps because you are allowed to be cliché when you've earned it. The sun was there. The city was still mostly a puddle, but the puddle had a sky in it. I keep thinking about the first notification. You left Noah's iPad behind. I think about how that sentence is not untrue. Of course I left something behind. Of course we all will. And yet it is also not the story. The story is that we took the part of the world that wants to audit love, and we told it we would prefer to pay with time. We left behind the part of our brains that thinks proof is a discount. We picked up the part that remembers to witness. The other day, I got a spam DM that said, "I saw your boyfriend with someone at the bar," attached to a photo of 2 indistinct people at what could be any bar in any city. I did what my better season has taught me to do. I showed it to Owen. He showed it to the kettle. The kettle boiled. We made tea, and we went to bed with our phones on the nightstand like well-trained pets. Trust turns out not to be a vault or a password or a receipt. It's that boring little habit of showing the person you love what arrived and letting them be the one who helps you throw out. If there's an ending to this, it's not clever. It's us in the kitchen making a pasta that is really just garlic optimism. It's my hand on Owen's back when he pretends our couch is a boat and the floor is lava for our godson. It's a whiteboard by the door that has only 2 lines on it and more magnet poetry stuck to it than any adult needs. It's ordinary arriving again and again, stubborn and forgiving, and us choosing it.